all politics, there is never much of a meeting of the minds between Democrats and Republicans these days, especially on the issue of debt reduction. But the bipartisan super committee was supposed to be different. Both parties working together to find a solution. Fortunately, they can't even agree on what's going on at their meetings. Republican Rand Paul, who's not a member of the super committee, went on Fox News' Sean Hannity's radio show with what he considered a scoop that committee Democrats had walked out, refusing to negotiate.
I have news straight from sources close to the super committee that the Democrats have walked away from the table and they're refusing to talk with the Republicans about a deal. They will not counter any offers, and that basically there's an impasse, and it's starting to look like they don't want any deal at all.
Democrats, on the other hand, say they haven't walked away from anything and called Paul's statement, quote, absolutely ridiculous. Earlier, I had a chance to speak with Senator Rand Paul about his controversial statements. Senator Paul, you said today that the Democrats on the super committee have walked away from the table, or you'd heard they'd walked away from the table. Our reporters on the Hill haven't heard that version of events. The Democrats are flat out denying it. National Journal is quoting a Republican aide saying a Democratic senator suggested a timeout, but that's not walking away. Are you sure they walked away?
Well, you know, I get most of my information from watching Chuck Schumer on the cable news networks, and it sounds like this morning he's saying that we won't negotiate and the negotiations are breaking down. So I think it's probably safe to say that we are at an impasse. But, you know, they say the walls have ears. I think the walls also have whispers, and the whispers I'm hearing are that the Democrats have walked away from the table and they're unwilling to really try to honestly reach a compromise. And it's made me think, because I see the president always on the campaign trail now, and I see him really liking to beat up on a Congress that's not doing anything. My suspicion is maybe the president doesn't want a deal, that maybe he sees his campaign to benefit by not having a deal.
Well, you actually said something similar to that earlier today on, I think it was on Sean Hannity's program. It was a pretty bold statement what you said. I want to just play that for our viewers and ask you about it.
I think the president's calculation here is that it helps his campaign not to have a deal. So I don't think he cares at all about what this will do to people's retirement accounts on November 23rd, November 24th, as the stock market plummets. The president doesn't care about your retirement account. He cares only about his election, and any deal will not be good for his election.
That's a pretty tough statement to say that the president doesn't care about people's 401ks. Do you really believe that?
Well, you know, I suspect that we're getting to that point because everything is about his campaign now. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to work with me, would you call me stupid? The president on the campaign trail is saying Republicans are too stupid to understand his jobs program, so he's breaking it up into pieces. You know, there's a stick and the carrot to diplomacy. If he wants to work with us, he should call us and talk to us. We have actually parts of our jobs bill, which we introduced today, the Republicans' jobs bill, that both sides could agree to. But do you think the rhetoric doesn't help? For him to call us too stupid to understand his plan isn't getting us any closer to a deal.
Well, the CBO report this week made it pretty clear that a cuts-only approach is not going to get the job done. When you talk to a lot of Republicans, they won't even consider revenue increases, though.
Well, you know, a lot of people are talking about getting rid of loopholes and deductions, precisely what the president wants. He's saying we won't compromise, and many of these reports are coming out from the super committee. We have been.
You think that's enough, though, just the getting rid of loopholes?
Plan after plan. You know, they've been meeting for 2 months, and Republicans have offered to close loopholes repeatedly. That is on the table, but the Democrats are backing away from the table, and the word I got was late last evening, walking away from the table and saying, you know, we don't have any more discussion now. We're not going to counter that. They're just not coming towards us while we are trying to come towards them.
And for you, you say that's all about politics on the Democrat side.
I worry that it is. I mean, you've seen the president on the campaign trail. There's a lot of bashing of Republicans for being too stupid to understand his jobs plan. There's a lot of bashing of millionaires and billionaires, and Republicans won't do anything with his jobs bill. Well, we have a jobs bill, too. If you're going to compromise, he needs to come look at our jobs bill. Call me up. I'm down the street from him. Call me up, sit down with me, and let's work out a compromise on a jobs bill, and we could pass something. He's not doing that. He's on the campaign trail all the time bashing us. He needs to be in Washington calling up. Doesn't have to be me, but it could be other Republican leaders. He should come over and sit down with Mitch McConnell. He should come over and sit down with John Kyle or other leaders and say, this part of the jobs plan that I have, could you agree to this if we did this?
Tim Geithner
Instead,
did that.
He says it's all or nothing.
Tim Geithner did that before going over to Europe. He sat down with McConnell, and according to reports, McConnell said essentially what you said, that the Democrats don't really want to make a deal, that the president wants this stuff to fail. And Geithner said, though, no, that's not true. We put forward a number of plans.
Yeah, but when you hear him on the campaign trail, he says, well, we won't pass his jobs plan. I mean, the vice president said we're responsible for rape and murder because we won't pass our jobs plan. That's the kind of rhetoric. You know, people are saying we're not going to compromise. That inflammatory rhetoric gets us nowhere. I'm willing to have a reasonable discussion. I had a very good discussion with the president one-on-one, and I personally said I would work with him, and I still stand by that. I will work with the president. I will work with him to find middle ground. But it doesn't help if he's calling us names on the campaign trail all the time.
Senator Rand Paul, appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.